What if I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that the romantic tale that the internet was fixated on for months was nothing more than smoke, mirrors, and meticulously arranged picture opportunities? What if I told you that Claressa Shields was purportedly sending messages that demonstrated she had never loved Papoose at all, while he was busy penning loyalty bars, smiling for the cameras and acting as though he had found his post-Remy happily ever after? Hold on tight, because rumors coming directly from the dark corners of the industry indicate that Remy Ma herself has just revealed the kind of receipts that transform rumors into bitter truth. Screenshots of timestamps, audio notes, leaked direct messages, and the one line that's driving the internet crazy with him: it was never that deep. The narrative: the world believed that Claressa had broken up with her fiancé, Tony Rich. According to Papoose, these purported communications present a different image, one in which Tony was consistently the star and Papoose served just as a minor plot point to keep the headlines interesting. Was Claressa acting like Papoose right away? Was Tony aware of it all along? And why, of all persons, is it Remy Ma who is suddenly revealing the truth? Though, believe me, the tea is hot and ready to be sipped. There are scandals in hip-hop, and then there are scandals that cause the entire culture to halt its activities. This one, the latter. I see. Because you already know that Remy Ma, a lady who has made a name for herself by being honest, uncompromising, and shrewd in her criticism, would unintentionally reveal your private communications, the consequences will be disastrous. And Claressa Shields is currently experiencing precisely that. The self-described GWAT, the unbeaten boxing champion, has been evading blows in the ring for years now. However, she's been hit squarely in the jaw from an unexpected angle. The Instagram story of Remy Ma, a single screenshot, was the beginning of it all. The name was blurry, the background was black, and the text bubbles were white. But the profile picture, oh, it didn't need to be in high definition. It was immediately recognized by the internet. Claressa was the one, and the brief, harsh, and devastating message: never was it that deep, alongside him. In less time than a championship knockout, those 7 words sent shockwaves through gossip blogs, because he was Papoose, as every clumsy intellect guessed right away. That a pose indeed. Many people thought Claressa had chosen him over her long-standing fiancé, Tony Rich, the man whose presence by her side had sparked 1,000 think pieces, and the man who had been publicly associated with her for months. However, it's possible that she never chose him. Hours later, further leaks began to surface. This time, the profile image and timestamps are conveniently still present in lengthy conversation threads, but the names are blurred. Claressa apparently mentioned Papoose in them as a joke, diversion, and called Tony the actual one. She allegedly added, "Tony knows me. Perhaps just enjoying the idea of me." In one especially vicious remark, this is where things get interesting, though, because a source close to Remy claims that these texts weren't stolen or hacked. No. One of Claressa's personal friends willingly sent them to Remy. Why? Oh, the motivations are tasty. Perhaps it was a sense of loyalty to Remy. Perhaps it was retaliation against Claressa. Or perhaps just possibly someone was attempting to blow up a situation. Before it got out of hand, the outcome was the same. Regardless of the cause, a complete change in the story. All of a sudden, Claressa was no longer the one who favored Papoose over Tony. She was the one who had never given Papoose any thought. In the first place, let's not forget who we're talking about here. So that hurts. In the industry, Papoose isn't just any old name. He is the one who spent years creating the image of the devoted husband, the artist who turned black love into a real brand, and the man who supported Remy while she was incarcerated. It is a kind of humiliation that endures forever on the internet. To witness him being played, not in private, but in front of the entire world. Oh, and Remy is aware of it. She provided no justification for posting the disclosures, no captions. Just so you know, she purposefully shared the raw screenshots for her millions of followers to view before deleting them 24 hours later, but not before every gossip website in the world had saved and reposted them. The public's response was swift and harsh. Instagram meme accounts went into overdrive, changing boxing scorecards with Tony 10, Pap 0, while Twitter was ablaze with messages like Pap thought he was the main character energy. Turns out he was just a bureau, and Claressa had been sparring with 2 men at the same time and winning over depressing R&B instrumentals. TikTok developers performed dramatic readings of the hacked messages. However, beneath the memes, a more important query was brewing. Why now? Why, months after the rumors began? Would Remy now reveal these receipts? Some claim it's outright retaliation. Alas, I told you so to the man who abandoned her. Others think it's a planned public relations ploy to refocus the humiliating spotlight on Papoose, rather than on her. Then there are the conspiracy theorists, who are usually my favorite. who believe Remy and Tony are conspiring to regain control of the story and force Claressa into a corner before her next major altercation. Claressa's camp isn't taking this lying down, of course. An unnamed friend of hers contacted a prominent gossip website within hours of the disclosures being public blog, asserting that the screenshots were manipulated to add drama and were taken out of context during a difficult time with Papoose. They claim that Claressa was venting to a close friend. Furthermore, her true feelings are not conveyed by those phrases, "Oh, I see." Additionally, it is not evident from my grandmother's banana bread that she used a store-bought mix. Please, Papoose has remained silent, but Tony Rich, the man who has been the main character all along if these leaks are accurate, posted a mysterious Instagram story of his own with a black screen and the words, "Some things don't need to be explained." No tags, no names, just enough to send his followers into a frenzy. No lies, no innocence. Statements not even a tweet say more than words ever could. For a man who has made it his mission to defend his connections in public, remaining silent now either indicates that he is too ashamed to answer, or that he is occupied with determining what receipts he actually owns. Here's the worst part, though. The leaked messages are only the beginning. According to several industry sources, there appears to be a whole folder, yes, an entire folder containing voice notes, messages, and pictures that present an even more repulsive image of Claressa and Papoose's relationship. And we're talking career-ending harm if those ever make it to the light of day. Rumor has it that the folder includes more than just Claressa and Tony's private exchanges, as well as the direct, uncensored remarks she made about Papoose to friends during her purported time with him. Remarks that have the potential to destroy what remains of his reputation. The whole internet is currently waiting to see if Remy Ma has more ammunition, if Claressa responds with a clap, and whether Papoose eventually speaks up. Because the only thing more harmful than a terrible headline at the moment is the fear that worse ones may be on the horizon. The following hit didn't take long to reach the internet, because the floodgates have a tendency of opening on their own once Remy Ma opens the door. A second set of evidence emerged less than 48 hours after the first screenshot went viral. Instead of only a few lines of text this time, it was whole messaging threads with emoji reactions, timestamps, and the sort of casual tone that made it uncomfortably obvious. Claressa never showed any emotional attachment to Papoose if she was real. In a thread purportedly from 2 weeks prior to her most recent public appearance with Papoose, Claressa was seen telling a friend, "Tony's been patient. I'm not giving that up for someone who just popped in." In another, she made a joke, "Pap's sweet, but he's a tourist here." That tourist line quickly became a meme template on social media. Timelines were overflowing with photoshopped pictures of Papoose wearing disposable cameras, fanny packs, and "I love New York" shirts. The public was analyzing, not just laughing. Fans divided the purported timing of her communications against her public appearances in comment sections, which turned into war rooms. Photos of Claressa and Papoose together were superimposed on the purported chat dates by TikTok detectives, who circled her clothes as if they were a court exhibit. Then the sound started, yes, because a voice that sounds different can be faked, but screenshots can remain authentic. A skewed video purporting to show Claressa on the phone with a friend was posted by a gossip website. The female voice in the muffled audio is heard stating, "Pap's cool for now, but Tony's forever." It made no difference if the clip was real or artificial intelligence AI created. The damage was already done. It became a TikTok sound after being remixed and played again. That in less than a day accumulated millions of uses. Naturally, Remy made no mention of whether or not she was responsible for the second leak. Fans didn't need an explanation. When she shared a single Instagram story with the description, "Still hot," the story featured a picture of her well-groomed hand clutching a teacup. They understood her meaning perfectly. The only one of the Corfer who hadn't spoken yet was Papoose. The quiet was overwhelming. While some supporters felt that it was best for him to remain silent, others urged him to speak the truth. Claressa or Remy could use less ammunition against him the less he said. However, people in the room whispered that Papoose wasn't quiet because he was playing chess. He was so angry that he kept quiet, according to one insider. Pap had approached several media outlets with the intention of correcting the record, but he had always backed off out of concern for the amount of money Claressa and Remy may demand from him in exchange. Additionally, according to the same source, Pap had his own folder not as big as Ray's, but enough to cast everyone in a negative light. Tony Rich, meanwhile, was sinking into the story. Whether intentional or not, his social media accounts were suddenly flooded with pictures of him and Claressa working out together, going out to eat, and laughing as if the previous few months' news had never occurred. All that was written in one caption was, always will be." The internet went into a new frenzy after Claressa and Tony publicly demonstrated their unity. Was this proof that Tony had always been the primary character? Had Papoose served only as a distraction? Or was this a couple's attempt at face-saving, damage control? Before Remy could reveal anything more, a blogger posted what they said was a screenshot of a leaked group text that showed Claressa, Tony, and a mutual friend debating how to spin the tale, further escalating the theories. It was spicy enough to keep the drama going for 3 more days in a row, whether it was contrived or real. Remy went live right when it looked like chaos couldn't possibly happen. There was no promo, no warning, simply a dark screen at first, followed by Remy's composed but fixed visage. Although she didn't specifically mention Claressa, the inference was clear enough to shatter glass. Don't be surprised when the truth about your disloyalty surfaces, because you built your brand on loyalty. While some simply rent it, others discuss endlessly. Her fans begged her to remove the remaining ones in the comments section. Patience. Y'all, you can't rush greatness, Remy stated with a smile after taking a sip of her tea. She then put an end to the live stream. The controversy was now being covered by prominent sites outside the gossip niche. Sports networks discussed if the drama might divert Claressa's attention before her next major altercation. Hip-hop radio programs wondered if Papoose's reputation could be restored or if his devoted husband's branding would be permanently destroyed. The stakes went up much farther at this point. There was a report that Claressa's sponsors were keeping an eye on things and reevaluating her suitability for future campaigns. That's more than just negative publicity in a field where brand partnerships frequently dwarf out purses. There was actual money at stake. Now, the tension was so intense that a butter knife could cut through it. Claressa had yet to confront the disclosures directly. Tony was being cool. Remy Ma pretended to have the nuclear codes and was debating whether or not to turn the key, while Papoose was a ghost. There were camps on the internet. Claressa's team is standing up for her freedom to date whoever and however she pleases. Team Remy, thanking her for standing up for the sisterhood and revealing the truth. Rare but outspoken. Team Pap maintained that he was a true victim in this case. Mostly there for the cocky boyfriend vibe. Team Tony, however, there was one thing that all parties agreed upon. This was not the end of it, by no means. There was still another leak because of the way people were speaking. The one that is waiting to strike. There was no warning leak from the large one. It collided with the internet, a sucker punch perhaps. 11:03 p.m. Just as timelines were starting to slow down on a Sunday night, a prestigious gossip blog posted a file titled Final Round. There was no teaser or background information, just a 3-slide carousel with the subtitle, "You wanted the truth here." The first slide was a crystal clear screenshot of a direct message exchange between Tony, Rich and Claressa, time-stamped during the same week when she was seen out to supper with Papoose. Slide 2 begins with Claressa saying, "Don't worry, baby, perhaps just for the cameras." Claressa and Tony's selfie in what appeared to be a lodging, the date stamp, corresponds to the night she was purportedly in New York with Papoose for a charity function. "Always you" read hard as her caption in the corner of the picture. And slide 3 is a shocking revelation. The internet exploded when Claressa laughed into her phone for 8 seconds and said, "Pap really thinks we're a thing. You couldn't argue with this audio clip or hazy Pap shot. This was time-stamped, crystal clear, and if true, indisputable." Within minutes, the hashtags #Pap and #Final Round popular. From light-hearted insults to vicious knockout strikes, memes changed over time. Papoose was now being compared to an opponent who enters the ring with confidence only to lose the first round. Who was the first to post it? Minutes after the blog, it was none other than Remy Ma herself. She didn't hide behind teacup emojis or subtweets this time. The story had been formally altered. She captioned it, "Receipts don't lie. People do." This last leak presented Papoose as utterly unaware of a side plot in someone else's love story, whereas the initial leaks made Claressa appear unfaithful. Even worse, it gave the impression that Tony Rich had been in possession of the championship belt the entire time. The repercussions by Monday morning were severe. For all the wrong reasons, Papoose became popular on Twitter. The impact of Claressa's personal distractions on her next battle was openly questioned by sports shows. A hip-hop podcast examined Remy's long-term strategy of holding off on revealing the most important piece of proof until the ideal time, when Papoose finally spoke. It wasn't the scathing retort that everyone had anticipated. On Instagram, he shared a lone black square with the statement, "Growth comes from pain." Some of the most vicious and empathetic comments poured in. Translated, "I feel ashamed." Just one read, "Bro just found out he was an NPC," said another. Claressa, however, stepped up her efforts. She didn't confirm or refute the leaks, but she went live from the gym, sweating and unconcerned, stating, "I'm focused on my fight. You all can talk about whatever. I'm here to win. Although she didn't specifically name Papoose or Tony, her smirk whenever the hashtag final round was referenced in the comments and spoke more than words could. Tony remained quiet and continued to share informal photos of himself and Claressa online, as if nothing were wrong. If anything, people were becoming more convinced that he had been in on this the entire time. Because of his quiet assurance, the reality show theory came roaring back to life behind the scenes. According to several insiders, Claressa's camp had been recording her private life for several months, and the pitch may have included those videos, if accurate. Papoose's humiliation may have been made profitable in addition to being widely known. The most talked about topic of all was Remy Ma's involvement in all of this. Was this a complex revenge plot intended to harm Papoose's reputation forever after their breakup? Or was she just exposing a lady she felt had wronged her? It wasn't made clearer by her own remarks. Sometimes people need to see what they look like from the outside. If they don't like the reflection, that's not my problem, she remarked in an interview clip that was released later that week. By this point, the camps had moved. Team Remy praised her as the queen of receipts, the ultimate silent time strategist. Team Claressa, who said the whole thing was exaggerated and that her personal life was being used as a weapon. Before a big fight, Team Pap, who were few but loud and portrayed him as a real victim caught between two women's vendettas. And Team Tony, who were increasingly convinced that he had planned the entire thing from behind the scenes. Sponsors started to take action. One fitness company quietly removed Papoose from a promotional roster, and a sports drink associated with Claressa released a vague statement about concentrating on her athletic accomplishments while avoiding needless distractions. Translation: we're watching, and still, the folder rumors wouldn't die. Presumably, there was more. As the dust settled, it became clear that no one was leaving this clean. Claressa's unbeatable image had been damaged. Papoose's loyalty brand was in ruins. Tony might have won in the relationship sense, but the public now saw him as a guy who knowingly played along. And Remy had cemented her position as a mastermind, while also rekindling old arguments about whether her exposing people was empowerment or just pettiness in a designer dress. It was unclear whether Remy was saving them for a rainy day or for maximum public impact. But the threat of another drop kept everyone on edge. And there you have it, a scandal so well planned and so precisely timed that it feels less like real life and more like a staged season finale. Remy Ma is playing the long game with a precision that most politicians would envy. Claressa Shields is shrugging off the heat like she's sparring in the gym, daring anyone to knock her off her game. Papoose, once the face of Black Love, is now facing the hardest rebrand of his career, and Tony Rich is somehow navigating the flames with a smirk that says, "I knew how this would end." The real question is, however, what happens next? Does Papoose respond with his own folder of receipts? Does Claressa finally confront the leaks head-on? Or will she continue to duck and weave until the public grows weary? Does Tony remain silent indefinitely? Or is he saving his own tell-all moment, and is Remy truly finished? Or is she simply waiting for the right opportunity to deliver a final blow? After all, that folder that everyone is chatting about hasn't been dropped yet. And in a scandal like this, the last blow is never what you expect. So I want to hear from, is Remy Ma the protagonist of this story, or just the most vicious player? Was Claressa really using Papoose as leverage? Or was this all a masterfully planned public relations ploy? And who, in your opinion, truly prevailed? Share your theories in the comments. No matter how outrageous, because the tea is still boiling. If you want to see every dubious post, unintentional leak, and behind-the-scenes twist explained here, hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because I promise you this battle is far from over.